friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. The video you're about to see has already been made, and as I was making it, I decided to put this little front end on here. I just want to say a few things. It's always really dangerous to air your dirty laundry in public. People will take advantage of it and rub your face in it. But here's the bottom line. Honesty is incredibly important to me. If you're not honest, then you're nothing. It's just that simple. So I try to be as honest as I can. My grandfather instilled that in me, if nobody else did. That's what everybody always said about him, was he was the most honest man they'd ever met. Well, I hope I could live up to that. So here is some dirty laundry. Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Years ago I wrote a song. The title of the song was called "This Time I Failed." Well, I probably should be singing that song right now because I failed. Yeah, you saw it before. You're seeing it again. It failed. Why did it fail? Well, I'll take 50% of the blame. I still stand by what I said. The way I fixed it was probably as strong or stronger than it was when it came from the factory. I still believe that. But what I did wrong was I didn't let the glue cure long enough. I strung this thing up after only roughly 12 hours of the glue curing. A little more than that maybe, but not much. It wasn't 24 hours, I can tell you, because it was just overnight basically, and then the next morning I strung it up. So I should have probably let the glue cure for, 3 days probably on something that's got this much stress on it. So I won't make that mistake again. So what was the other 50%? When you want to soften glue, what do? You heat it, right? Well, this was left in a hot car. Yeah, it was left in a hot car for several hours anyway, and on a hot sunny day. So, the stress that's under that could have easily pulled the neck off the base, let alone this pulling out. So I don't feel too terribly bad that this failed in that sense. What can we do better? Or let's first of all talk about what are the good things that happen here. I actually think there are some good things. Number one, this failed and the rest of the base didn't in the hot car. So it was kind of good that this turned loose versus the neck pulling off or something like that, or maybe the top pulling loose or something. Because there is a ton of stress on an instrument like a bass. I don't know the exact numbers, but and everybody will have different numbers anyway, I think. But I've heard 60 foot-pounds of pressure or torque on a guitar string, somewhere in that neighborhood. Well, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what that number is to me. But if you took that number, I think you could easily double that on each string on a bass. I mean, on an upright bass. Whatever the number is, I think you could easily double it. There is a ton of stress on this. As I had said at the end of that first video, string it up, stand back, get out of the way, and I also said that in days gone by, I probably would have just thrown this away and got a new one. Well, I still think it's possible to make this stronger. Now, a lot of people suggested, and to be perfectly honest with you, I hadn't thought of it at the time. They said, make this a wedge, make this a wedge, and then it will pull tighter and tighter. I don't know if there's enough meat here to make that work real well, but there might be. And maybe I should change this and make it a wedge. But now that I've got this, and I'd have to recut this cable and all that, and the cable's going to be too short, and I think I'm just going to live with this like it is. I got to tell you, the wedge idea is not a bad idea. There may be enough meat here that the wedge would be strong enough. I'm afraid that the wedge, like you had this failed and it be a wedge, I'm pretty sure that with all the strength there is in that bass, that it would have split the tailpiece or split these edges right off. I think that just all that strength pulling through there, the wedge would have just busted this. I really do. I don't know. That's a 50-50, I gotta tell you. I'm not 100% sure it would have happened, but I kind of think it would have happened. And either way, the glue failed, and it really wouldn't be right anyway, so because of the heat and all that. So even had I wedged it with that glue failing like it did, nothing good would have came out of any of it. So I'm not knocking the idea. I think that's a good idea, and under most circumstances where you got plenty of meat, for sure the wedge idea is an excellent idea. But now that we've got it this way, and there's not a lot of meat left here, I think instead of the wedge idea, what I'm going to do is use dowel pins. Because it's already done, and because everything's already fitted up, and rather than cut my losses on time and all that, I think I'm just going to use some dowel pins to more or less do the same kind of thing, lock it in. I'll show you how I'm going to do that as we go through this, but I've been thinking about it, and obviously the things I'm going to do different is we're going to lock it in somehow, and I'm also going to give the glue a lot more time to cure before I string this up. Enough whining here, let's get it fixed. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is clean up the glue that's there, and I'm just going to scrape it off. Just got the chisel here, and it gets into the corners good, so we'll just scrape all the old glue off with the chisel. I believe that is really clean. Now let's see if it'll go back in here. It's a tight fit. Yeah, it's still a tight fit. It wouldn't hurt if I go ahead and clean a little bit more, because I mean it'll go down in there, but man, I can't get it out now. How did it ever come out of there? It's that tight. Okay, I think we're good there. I'm going to go ahead and glue it back in, I think, if I can get it out again. Golly, how did that ever pull out of there? I can't get it out like that. All right. Okay, I still can't get it out. Man. I seriously can't get that out. Oh. Alright, I'm going to have to shave a little bit more off this back edge here. I don't really want it quite that tight. Squeezed out a little bit more, and because of that I have to get these up here and clean this out. Squeezed out quite a bit of glue down in the hole here. Okay, that should be fine. Like I said, the thing I'm going to do mainly different is I'm going to let this set for probably 3 days before I put any tension on it. But after a few hours, or after, maybe tomorrow, I'll just say 24 hours, let's just say that. Tomorrow, because this is like 7:30 in the morning in the shop. So tomorrow morning, I'll take the clamp off, and then I'll start doing the dowel pinning tomorrow. And we will then give it another couple of days to just let the glue set up real good. I truly don't think this time it will even come apart in a hot car the way I've got it figured out, but only time will tell, so we'll see. Okay, this thing has been drying for 24 hours. Now you can probably see I've drilled a series of holes, 3 along here, 3 along here, and 2 down through the middle. Those two down through the middle go into the ebony. All 6 of these are splitting the ebony and the piece of maple. So they're right on the seam. So there's no way you're going to be able to pull this out now this way. Impossible. I mean, it just won't happen. So if it comes out again, something's going to really seriously break. You know, I thought about doing that the first time, and I should have. I really should have. I think this is a better alternative than putting a wedge in here, and the reason is because the wedge, I think, will cause it to split out and bust. This, I don't think, will do that. So I'm going to try to get each one of those down in as far as they'll go. Then I'll saw them off flush. Each time I'm going to just kind of round the ends of the new piece that's going in, just so that they don't get hung up on the sides. Put some glue on there. In fact, I think I'm going to use a toothpick to get glue down in the hole very good. I think that's a good idea. That way we know we got good glue coverage. And I think that you can feel it bottom out. I do think this is strong enough. I really do. I think if this doesn't hold, it's time for a new tailpiece. You know, I truly think the other one would have held had she not left it in the hot car for, you know, several hours. That's just going to make anything like this fail. And like I said, I didn't let it dry long enough. If I'd have let it dry longer, it might not have even failed then. But, you know, it was a comedy of errors. That's all I can tell you. Well, I think you can see there, you've got all of those dowel pins in there. They're all right in the joints. I don't think Hercules could pull that out of there now. And anyway, it's you know, it's been drying for 24 hours, so it's already pretty solid. I'm sure if I strung the base up, it would hold it, but I'm going to give it 2 more days to dry like this. You know, before I'll just set it down and let it dry, though, I'm going to go ahead and smooth these off. I'm going to use the wonderful new tool that Colin sent to me. Haven't used it on camera yet, so this will be the first time I've used it. Here we go. Well, that worked great. Got it all right down to the smooth surface there. You can't feel anything. That was fairly rough sandpaper, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm going to use a little 220 now just to clean that up a little bit. And I could do that with the same tool, but this is more practical in my opinion, a little more, just makes more sense. The tool is going to leave a little mark and little wavy things in there if, you know, maybe with some practice I could get better. But I think that's really, really smooth right there. So that worked good. That knocked it all down perfectly level, and now it's perfectly smooth. Simply because someone took offense to me using a Sharpie on it the last time. Here is the leather die. No one's going to see this anyway. Even if I left it like that, you'd never see it, so it doesn't matter. But I like to have things look finished, so we're going to go ahead and finish it here. That's good. Now there's no white exposed anywhere. There you go. It looks real good. I don't think there's any way that that's going to come out of there. We'll give it 2 more days to dry. We'll string it up, and I feel 100% confident that we won't have any further problem, assuming it's not left in a hot car. Well, friends, I know I said this the last time, but it's fixed, and it's fixed good. I mean, there's no way that's going to pull out of there again. hot cars, all bets are off. But in hindsight, it's good that that came loose versus the neck. So, you know, I'm sure that would have heated up much faster than the whole big neck. And so that gave away. It basically saved her instrument in a different way, if you will. I'm not trying to, you know, say that what I did helped her. But on the other hand, in this particular instance, I think it was a good thing. So, but now, you know, with that being pinned in there with all those dowel pins, I don't, you know, it's not going to come loose. Yeah, even in a hot car, I doubt it'll come loose very easily, although in a hot car, all bets are off. But anyway, here's what it sounds like. It's been about 3 days drying before I strung it up, so it's plenty dry. Sounds good. I can't really play a bass, but here's a little bit. Unfaithful one, you have to suffer. You're doomed to go through life alone. For no one else will ever trust you. They'll know your heart is made of stone. There you go. At least you can tell it works. I don't think it'll break again. I seriously don't. I should have done it that way the first time. I almost did. Why I didn't, I don't really know. If the glue fails now, I think it'll just stay where it's at. But I don't think the glue's going to fail. I really don't. I think it'll be fine for, you know, 20 years. I think it'll be fine. Well, friends, this is just a follow-up to show you that the bass is holding up just fine. It's been sitting strung up in the shop for, I didn't keep track, but I'm going to say 5 days at least. Maybe a little longer. Holding tune very well. In fact, after 4 days, 5 days, whatever it's been since I tuned it, it's only dropped a half a step, which would be the equivalent of like 1 fret on a guitar. So, you know, any bass is going to do that, especially after it's been unstrung for, you know, a while there, while I was working on it. So it had to bring it back up to tension and all that. It's perfectly fine. I do not think it will ever break again, and that's pretty much a black and white guarantee. Obviously, all bets are off if you leave it in a hot car. I hope this has been a good lesson for all of us. Thank you very much for watching.